That's the Dinner in Hell Band, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Dinner in Hell Band.
Yeah, they are performing.
Yes.
The audience is here.
Oh, the audience before us is here. The band is performing in front of us on the spot live.
As we are speaking to you, it is occurring.
Perfectly mic'd. We have state-of-the-art sound as far as live mixing goes, band-wise. So.
We spend probably most of our prep time on that, I'd say. Welcome back for another exciting edition of the Dinner in Hell podcast, the show where two amateur historians talk about the atrocious underbelly of history. I am one of your co-hosts, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, Ron motherfucking Maiden. What is happening?
Oh, I'm so psyched to talk about freaking Mount Rushmore. Goddamn atrocious, one of the most atrocious mountains in U.S. history.
It is atrocious to a degree.
Just the look on their smug faces.
Maybe not quite as atrocious as Vesuvius. That one might be a touch more.
Ooh. That mountain single-handedly took lives.
Yes.
This one takes people's pride.
Yeah.
This one takes people's spirit.
I mean, I would say right off the top that another descriptor for the mountain that some people call Rushmore would be called the Six Grandfathers, as the Sioux call that mountain. Sometimes it's also called Cougar Mountain. But
Funny.
I like the Six Grandfathers.
I once knew a cougar named Sue.
Nice. This is good.
I think you know Sue.
Oh, shit.
Silver
Sue.
bullet. Yeah. Anyways, not a cougar.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe that's why my mind didn't jump right to that.
Not typically a cougar type.
Yeah, so the mountain exists, and the reason it's fucked up is a thing called the Mount Rushmore National Memorial. What that is it is a sculpture carved into the facade of the Six Grandfathers in the shape of the faces of 4 United States of America presidents. Stick with us for a while, though. Come along for the ride, and you might understand why a sculpture is just a little fucked up.
Oh, I get it. Now, you're saying, hey, you tuned into Dinner in Hell program. We usually talk about people being tortured and skinned alive, hacked to pieces. What is so atrocious about a giant mountain?
Yeah. It's sort of a...
It's more like a mind F to the native people.
Yeah, it's sort of there's a lot of things that go into it, and the reason why it's in this particular place is why this sucks, basically.
Let's do this.
Yeah,
USA.
There's not no death toll in this episode, but it's not like we usually get into.
Well, what you're saying, you're talking about the death toll.
More on the death poll later that we put out there.
No one died making the sculpture.
Correct, not a single person.
But people died leading up to the story.
Yeah.
The journey. We're going to give you we're going to take you on a journey.
Yeah, we're going to get right into it, too. Let's talk about the history of conflict between the United States of America and the Lakota Nation.
So Columbus lands on America. All the pilgrims get off the boat. We're taking you all the way back.
Well, not all the way.
Oh, I thought you were starting from the history of it. This is going to be a 6-hour program.
This is the... Oh, Jesus. Yeah, this is we go Dan Carlin on your ass now.
This is part 1.
Of 7.
Yeah.
Well, this particular story, we're only going to go back to 1851. So not forever ago, but ways enough back, I'd say.
Yeah.
The first treaty of Fort Laramie between the United States and several tribes involved making peace between the tribes who were fighting and also with the United States. We're talking northern Wyoming, present-day Wyoming.
Okay.
In return, the United States was supposed to protect the tribe's hunting grounds, not let the settlers completely decimate animal populations, basically.
Overhunt.
Yes. Arrest and punish colonists that committed crimes against Native Americans. They were supposed to do that. And they were also supposed to pay the tribes that were involved in signing the treaty $50,000 in the form of an annuity over 10 or 15 years. So those are the terms of the first treaty they hashed out from fighting. Now, the first colonist, or settler, I guess, that would ever be punished under that treaty for committing crimes against the Native Americans was punished in 2009.
Damn, no one bothered these local Native Americans till then?
Oh, how I wish that were the case.
Well, you're saying no one was punished until 2009 from 1851?
Yeah, so that is one interpretation.
Pretty good record.
That's one way to look at what might be the cause of those numbers, that statistic there. The other way to look at it is that they just ignored the treaty.
God damn it. I knew there was something atrocious about this episode.
Yeah, so that's a theme. We've had some running themes lately. Like in the last Pope episode, with the first time you say something bad about him, you're like, no, he doesn't care much for religion. There's a running theme. Here's another theme: ignoring treaties. To be fair, a lot of times both sides would engage in that. But I mean, you'll hear for yourself. That annuity, the $50,000 over 10 to 15 years as well. There was only ever one payment made on that. And then they were just like, we're not going to
go fuck off.
Yeah.
Call the cops. We are the cops.
Yeah. So those hunting grounds, remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The settlers were absolutely decimating the bison population.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were destroying all of their natural resources. They were not just staying on the road. They were fucking taking everything. And nobody was going to do anything to dissuade them from behaving like that.
I used to hear stories about hunting trips where these guys, they take you on guided hunts. Like, come on this way. I'll show you right where the buffalo herd is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was awful. Like those African elephant fucking hunts.
Yeah, the canned hunts.
Yeah.
Or they'll fly in a white rhino to fucking somewhere in Texas and it's crippled already, chained up, and they're like, now I, the greatest sportsman of all time, will hunt this crippled animal.
Open up the panther gate.
Yeah. Boom. Just blows it away. I'm such a great hunter.
It's fenced in.
Nah, you go bow hunt grizzly bears or something. Then you can swing your dick around a little bit. But if you're going fucking shooting exotic animals when you're given no danger.
Remember that video?
That's not sportsmanlike.
Remember the video I showed you where the guy dropped a spear from the tree stand onto the deer, cut into half of his body? It was
that was impressive though. That's at least
you can drop spears
to
good.
Some degree. Yeah,
it weighs 40 pounds. You dropped stuff good.
That was a frustrating video because I was just dying for him to throw the goddamn spear.
Yeah, you thought it was a light broomstick weight. This thing is weighted.
I'm it's fucking 10 feet away. What kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. So we're talking northern Wyoming area, treaties, trust, betrayed.
Yes. Well, you can see it. I think the main cause of human conflict over the bulk of history is scarce resources. If you're in danger of not having enough to eat, that's a pretty big fucking motivator for you to encroach on someone else's territory or steal. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I think this is a prime driver for human conflict. Scarce resources.
Speaking of human conflict, the Lakotas were fighting over fresh water protection, right? Against the oil pipeline. Look, those are Lakotas, right?
Well, the oil pipeline wasn't fighting them. Guess who was, though? The United States still.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It was the Lakotas, right?
Yeah. Oglala Lakota.
And they were doing it because
Standing Rock Reservation. Yeah.
They didn't want to risk the river getting tainted. Yeah. Right. To this day.
On top of the fact that
We're talking about resources.
Yeah, there are lakes that are sacred to these people.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're just going to ignore that, ignore all of this, and just build a pipeline right through your shit because it'll make some asshole fucking an extra dime.
God damn it, BT. It's you're starting to bleed through, BT. Bring it back, BT. Come back. This is Happy Fun Time Podcast. God damn it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I'll keep it in line. Let's keep it in check.
The people that listen to our show are already somewhat bummed out. Our job is to pick them up with the sound of our voice.
Our job's to bring the truth. We
in
are
a laughing manner. Yeah. We don't want them to freaking get bummed out and turn it off.
That's my secret. I'm always bummed out.
Oh, banner.
Yeah, you're talking about the territory, northern Wyoming.
Yeah.
Also known as the Powder River Country. I assume there's a river there called the Powder River.
I know in Georgia there's Powder Springs.
Nice.
Got a listener base out there.
It's up Powder Springs.
Because the sands are black like gunpowder. Go ahead.
Two key differences between the tribes involved in these treaties are two of the big players are the Crow along with the Lakota. Now, at this period in time, not later, as you may find out in a future Dinner in the Hell episode, the Crow were very cooperative with the United States government at this period in time.
Like they had a choice.
Well, yeah, they did. Because their neighbors responded very differently.
Yeah.
But they were like, all right, we'll play ball with these guys, and then they won't fucking come down so hard on us because we're not in a position to do anything about it right now. That was kind of the Crow attitude.
All right.
So this territory, the Powder River Country, was at that period Crow territory. But after the treaty had signed, the Lakota, it was now Lakota territory.
Because that was the land that was designated for them?
No, because they took it.
Oh, thanks, Lakota.
Either the Crow abandoned it, or the Crow who were fighting with they're traditionally enemies. They lost it. They either abandoned it or lost it. I couldn't get a clear delineation of exactly how that shook out. But one of those two things happened. But now it's Lakota territory, and the Lakota do not want to play ball. They're not in any way interested in cooperating with the United States.
Lakota. They wear black ski masks. Molotov cocktails. Throw Molotov cocktails through bank windows.
I wish. Also, they had several allies in their resistance to the United States. These included the Arapaho and the Cheyenne. One of the big problems was that there was a very prominent trail that went through this particular patch of territory. Again, trail worked great both ways when the Crow and the United States were involved, but once it was Lakota territory, the trail became a very different place for people who were traveling. It's around gold rush times. People are trying to get to California.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that want to get out there, and this is a really good path for now to get from one coast to the other one.
Yeah.
So the number of people on this path are growing until the Lakota take over, and then they're like, "What are you doing here? We're going to attack you and take this stuff because you don't belong here.
Thanks for everything you have.
Yeah.
You're in your scalps."
Yeah, so they were the Lakota were raiding the travelers on the roads, and they were occasionally raiding the forts that were being built in the territory. I mean, again, when you see your natural resources dwindling, it's going to provoke conflict.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the people who were settling that road also were working on the construction of the Union Pacific Railroad, which, I mean, a major construction project is going to harm the environment, change it in scary ways, I imagine, to these people.
Yeah.
and use up shitloads of resources.
Knocking trees down. Wildlife.
Fucking up water, killing lots of animals. I mean, a big construction project is going to require a lot of food. And you only get that from around you. You know what I mean? They're building the railroad. They couldn't send food yet.
Well, they could send a car of food
to the end. The dining car.
No, just a big bunch of boxcars full of corn on a cob for everyone.
Yeah, I suppose they could.
Jerky.
Yeah, right to the end.
Because it didn't need to be refrigerated. That's what they did. Corn on cob and jerky. And that's why it's so popular to this day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these rising tensions... the allied tribes, the Lakota, the Northern Arapaho, and the Northern Cheyenne responded to the construction of the forts and the movement of 700 soldiers and 300 new civilians into the area with basically constant small-scale guerrilla raids. Like they were just, they would harass and skirmish. Even though they had the numbers, they didn't have the technology. So they had to fight with, from cover, with sneaky war.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was successful. These people were coming in to respond to this threat, and they were not doing that good of a job of it. The raids were not slowing down. They were only getting bigger and more effective over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was really only one large-scale event that could even be remotely referred to as a battle. We're talking small-scale raids. Like, you're thinking of battles around this period of time. You're thinking of thousands. Think dozens. Dozens of people are involved in these.
Okay.
Yeah. This was eventually termed Red Cloud's War. The way the Native Americans' government structure sort of worked was different from something that we would be familiar with. They operated on a consensus, not a representative basis. So it was like nobody just fell in line with what the leader said. Like if they didn't agree with it, they would just act as though that wasn't happening.
What do you mean?
Like later on, when they signed the treaties, the people who didn't want to sign the treaties just live their lives as if the treaties hadn't been signed. Like they don't feel like because that guy signed something, they're bound by anything.
Yeah.
They didn't sign it themselves, so they'll just live their lives as if the treaty doesn't apply to them.
I like that.
Yeah. So you can also see why these two types of civilizations encountering one another would be a difficult scenario to navigate because they're just completely opposed. Like the hierarchy of one, like it makes perfect sense if the president signed something like that. I understand that I'm bound by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel with cocaine laws. Like I'll do cocaine like in my private life, but it's like I didn't sign no agreement, bro. This is my shit.
Yeah, I didn't agree to that.
This is before my time, bro.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Plymouth Rock landed on me. It's made of cocaine. Never done it in my life.
Me neither.
Say no. Just say no
to that.
To that particular thing we mentioned. Say no to everything. Everything someone throws at you, just say no.
Hey, do you want a job? No.
No.
You want to go to school? No. You want to clean your room? No.
No.
Just say no.
Hey.
We try to be a good influence on this program.
What do you say? Maybe you trim your beard up a little bit. It's getting a little long.
No. Never. So we're talking about that one big-ish battle that takes place during Red Cloud's War. We're talking December 21st, 1866. a group of 10 Lakota warriors, including the later legendary Crazy Horse, wanting a big attack before the coming winter. The snows forced them to go back to their winter grounds to live, It would be difficult for them to maintain a consistent campaign during the winter. They wanted a big one to, go off on. So what they did is the group of 10 attacked a wagon train that was carrying pine lumber back to Fort Kearney. Now, the wagon train, which is within vision of the fort, it flags like their distress. Like, hey, we're getting raided. Send the help. Send people out. Which they do. Captain James Powell gathered a relief force of 81 people, including himself. Captain Powell was in charge of the fort, so he's a cavalry commander as well. So there's a portion of these men that are on horseback. The thing is, his boss was in town. And he was like...
Corporate.
Captain, you're staying here. I'm venturing out on my expedition. I'm taking charge of this here unit.
We're going to have corporate walkthrough.
Yeah.
Make sure this place is tip-top.
Yeah, I'll take the people out. So
no clutter.
Yeah, so Powell stays behind at the fort, and his boss leads it out. And as they're leaving, Powell's like, "Hey, don't go over that ridge. See how there's a ridge, and then a little bit further down the road, that's where all you see where don't go past that. Go help the wagon train by all means." But if you chase anybody, do not go beyond that ridge.
Okay.
Yep.
Why, he read a book about it one day?
No, he just knew. He was like,
Strategic.
I know there's a lot of people out there.
Oh.
You got 81 people. We're in their land. This is not technically United States soil, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is a foreign land that they're occupying.
And they're familiar with.
Yeah, and he's saying there's a lot of people out there. You got 81. That's not that many people.
We've been out there guerrilla attacking them guerrilla style.
He's
for
like,
weeks.
yeah, it might be only a dozen people attacking the wagon train, but don't go beyond that ridge because we can't see you, we can't help you, can't hear you, can't nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's like, don't you tell me my business.
I'm the boss.
Yeah, I'm higher than you.
Yeah.
I know better. That's how hierarchies work.
The higher up the ladder,
the more capable and understanding and effective I am. That's how it works.
Obviously, the higher up the corporate ladder you are, the smarter you are, right?
Exactly.
Way smarter than a bottom guy.
Absolutely. 100% true. Fact. Verified. Print that shit. So they go out to try and rescue them. And what do you know? They chased Crazy Horse and his band of raiders over the ridge.
Past the ridge.
And then all 81 of them were killed. And that is the biggest single loss of life in Red Cloud's war. That one ambush. Yeah. But we're talking, I think by the time they resolve this with the next treaty, it's something like 300 and some change Americans dead and around 100 of the native allies dead. So, for a war, I guess that's not so bad.
With that one Neil Young reference, Crazy Horse slipped through there. There's a little outside in an Indian land, a man coming round with a large band of soldiers. Oh, don't go past that ridge now.
I can't top that.
Oh, there's a world. Okay.
So this was the biggest single event, this ambush, but it was not by any means the final one.
Hell no.
No, these guerrilla attacks would continue even through the winter, even though they said they were probably going to pack it up. They didn't. They were reinvigorated. They also managed to shut down the railroad. So shutting down that railroad.
No, you didn't. Get the fire hoses out. It's winter.
Yeah, you're cutting into some pocketbooks there. And that shutting down the railroad costing a bunch of people a bunch of money is what finally got the United States to agree to another treaty.
The non-attacking the railroad treaty of 1866.
Yes. Well, what this treaty did was it established the Great Sioux Reservation to include areas of present-day South Dakota. To include... God damn it. I can't say include.
Meditate on it for a moment. Turn off the tape. Turn off the mics. Just meditate. See yourself. You're brilliant. You're amazing. You're a bright star in a dark space. Begin.
The treaty established.
Ooh, I didn't mean talk while you meditate. Wake up from the meditation and talk.
All right, let's talk about this treaty. The treaty established the Great Sioux Reservation to include areas of present-day South Dakota, including the Black Hills, for the quote-unquote absolute and undisturbed use and occupation of the Indians. It made the total tribal lands smaller, again, I'm quoting here, to take away access to the prime buffalo herds that occupied the area and encouraged the Sioux to become farmers.
You're going to love pumpkin.
Yeah.
You got to try this.
So Sioux and Lakota are the same thing. Lakota people don't like being called Sioux because Sioux comes from the Chippewas and it's a disparaging name. Sioux means snake.
It's the S word.
So Sioux is sort of like a slur against Lakota people because they're
ass
calling
outta
them
here.
snakes. Yeah.
I heard that it's well known as the S word among Lakota people.
I'm not necessarily sure about that, but I do know that they prefer Lakota to Sioux. The treaty also included a claim for the Lakota to lands to the west, saying, quote, so long as the buffalo may range. The tribes considered this a guarantee to those lands forever because they didn't imagine that there was a possibility that the buffalo would not be there.
Right. As long as there's buffalo, alive herds buffalo roaming.
That's all yours.
It's free world for you.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is like there had always been buffalo there. So they didn't see any reason why that might not be the case.
But there hasn't always been like bullets.
Yeah.
Bullets are new to them.
Yes. And when the United States made this treaty, they were actually, and everybody knew this was a setup from the beginning. This was in bad faith the entire time. They were already, in fact, conducting the extermination of those buffalo. They were deliberately exterminating them. So then they could say, well, there's no buffalo here anymore, so you don't need this anymore, do you? It's ours now.
There would be advertisements like you could go on a train ride on this rail and just shoot buffalo from the car and they just drop dead on the ground.
Yeah, there's pictures you can fucking see where there's just like literally mountains of buffalo skulls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. So they were doing that to take the land. That's what the plan was from the beginning. Everybody knew what the deal was. That was the setup. The tribes that signed the treaty, they did so with the required consensus of 3/4 of the adult males of the tribe agreeing to the terms. Later on, though, when they asked a lot of these people, they said that what they experienced was the opposite of what they were told the treaty meant. On top of that, lots of them said, nobody really explained this to me at all. And then other people said, well, we couldn't understand it.
Yeah, their English wasn't so good.
Yeah, and you had other people who were like, I didn't get that I couldn't change my mind later. Like, yeah, it was a whole thing.
Oh,
like, just signing a treaty with these people was just to get wrong to begin with because they didn't understand what would be expected of them because they didn't do this.
They didn't understand like law and shit. They
had a completely different civilization.
Right.
I mean,
it's primitive. I mean, we're not trying to insult these people, but
They were obviously taking advantage of them.
The definition of civilized and like civilized being like running businesses, democracy or whatever you got going on.
The argument could be on whether civilization is good or not.
But this would be primitive thinking, like primitive people that didn't have like railroads.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. In a lot of ways, it seems like it's a much better way for living to me. Consensus decision making, like we got to find a solution that gets everybody on board, not whoever gets 51% fucking just decides.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it forces you to work together. I mean, might not be a bad way to get people to come together. Just saying. Because of that, as well as the fact that, like we discussed earlier, the Lakota who didn't agree to it simply lived their lives as if the treaty didn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of that, I mean, it's obvious to see how this shit was going to fall apart pretty quickly anyway. Between 1869 and 1876, at least 7 separate skirmishes broke out. The government eventually broke the terms of the treaty following the Black Hills Gold Rush and an expedition into the area by George Armstrong Custer in 1874 failed to prevent white settlers from moving on to tribal lands, and eventually we get the Great Sioux War of 1876.
Oh, never forget it. Never forget it. It was the 100th anniversary of our country.
Yeah, it was.
Never forget that centennial. It was one of my favorite centennials. Better than the second one.
Yeah, totally. The tall ships. I like the original tall ships when that was just what they were using.
Third centennial was cool, but nothing like the first centennial. Talking 1976. That'd have been the third. That'd have been the bye. I'm talking about the third one coming up. It's going to be a party.
Yeah, it's going to be hovercrafts, like rocket ships.
2076.
I thought there'd be fucking jetpacks by now. There fucking better be jetpacks by then.
Terminators are going to come back in time. From like lightning's going to strike down. Terminators are come hunt people down. God damn it, Elon Musk. God damn it.
No, they wouldn't be hunting Elon Musk because he is a Terminator.
No. They'd be hunting people that are trying to change shit for the better. We would, like, half of our shows wouldn't exist because, like, certain people would be removed from history. Like, what happened to episode 72?
Yeah, sure. Why didn't we release, like, any episodes between 24 and 35? We just jumped right back in at 36. Weird.
Someone went back and killed Caesar, so the pirate episode doesn't exist. Like,
yeah.
What? With the Terminator story movie, like the Sarah Connor, why don't they go all the way back and, like, annihilate, like, like the pharaohs, you know what I mean? Like go back
because they couldn't erase their own existence, so they had to let themselves be invented first. They couldn't affect anything before then.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cancel that pitch to Hollywood.
Well, no, don't cancel it. Just because I figured that out doesn't mean some Hollywood executive will.
Yeah, they did the Ancestry.com and found out that King Tut's the existence of King Tut's doesn't affect the T-188s, whatever they are. Yeah, so they go back and just zap them.
Yeah, totally. Now, this Great Sioux War included the battle at Little Bighorn, where Custer made his famous final stand, dying with 270 cavalrymen. I mean, though not too long after that, though, the United States kind of took the kid gloves off, and they really went like massacre style on everybody. And the constant grind of attacking the Lakota resources did eventually wear them out. And the United States stopped losing the wars against Native nations and winning them. Following the surrender that was forced from the Lakota, the United States formally seized all of the Lakota land, including the Black Hills and the Six Grandfathers, and forced the Lakota onto reservations, where the Standing Rock Reservation, where you mentioned where the water protests were, that's where that comes from. Oh, that's why those people live there.
They're there now.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the land that this mountain, that Mount Rushmore is carved on, is located on the land that we just broke the treaty for?
Yes, the Six Grandfathers is in the Black Hills, which was seized after conveniently they found gold there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to really punch that home. When there's money involved, there's blood involved. Was that a barrel of oil or a barrel of blood? Might as well be the same thing.
Yeah, sounds about right to me. So let's talk about this monument that they carved into the face of this mountain. It was conceived of in 1923 by South Dakota historian Doane Robertson, and an idea to drive tourism to South Dakota.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it worked. People go to this pretty frequently.
There's like a Crazy Horse monument too.
Kind of.
Yeah, like his head or something.
Yeah, it's like kind of there.
But South Dakota's got this freaking. Let's get back on target. Topic.
So the artist who was obtained to make this sculpture was named Gutzon Borglum. For real. That's a real name. Gutzon Borglum. He had just completed another monument, the Confederate Memorial carving, which was a monument to Confederate leaders onto Stone Mountain in Georgia.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good thing to memorialize.
He's got background. He's got a resume. It's not his first sculpture.
No, it's not. There is an opportunity there. Forever for
Dinner in hell.
Oh,
Going deep.
Borglum, who was born in Idaho Territory to Danish immigrants who were also Mormons and polygamists. So he had any number of sister moms. I guess. I don't know what you call it. When like your dad has several wives, not just your mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like he's partnering up with his mom's.
Oh no, I don't think that happens.
Also his aunt.
I mean, I think like the magic underwear prevents that.
Okay.
I'm not sure how it works. I'm not a theologian. But yeah, product of polygamy. He didn't dig the Mormon life though, so he left the Idaho Territory for fast-paced Nebraska. Where I guess became the one and only person to ever have a career as a memorial carver.
You want it done right, you go to frickin'
Borglum.
You know?
Good like Gutzon. That's where that phrase comes from.
You made a negative comment about his Confederate sculpture. Yeah, everyone has their opinions on that, but the man was doing his job, and he did it well. He was paid to do a good job. He did a fine job.
Yeah, I did. I mean, he seemed to do a good job at the Mount Rushmore National Memorial too. Congress finally sanctioned it in 1925. He, along with his son and 400 workers, dynamited and drilled. That's how they sculpted it. They drill holes and then they would hand remove small pieces to create the image. Mm-hmm. Which is honestly very impressive.
They had spotters, and they would yell, and there was kids on the job, and the kids' job were just to relay messages like, 2 feet to the right.
Yeah.
Drill a hole, mister.
Yeah, that's basically how it worked. They did. And
Gosh, mister. You know what I mean? They did the yell method.
Mm-hmm. And they did that from 1927 to 1941 when the statue was completed. We're talking 18 meters high, folks. For our American and Liberian listeners,
divided by 3.
That is 60 feet. So the faces of these presidents are 60 feet tall, 18 meters.
Yeah. Times 3.
Yeah, kind
for
of.
feet.
Yeah.
Because a meter's a yard.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Close.
I'm trying to do the math in my head.
Yeah, we got to since this program has switched to the metric system, we just have to learn to internalize the metric system so we can imagine it.
I just know we got people in frickin', Mountain View, California out there that are like, maybe they don't understand the conversion, Mountain View, California, that's more of like they're not known as a very intelligent area. right?
No, the people of Mountain View, California, especially the ones that listen to this program, are geniuses. It's a guarantee.
Isn't that known as Cyber Valley or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Mountain View is.
Okay.
I was making a joke.
Okay, I was trying to defend them.
What is it called?
I was like, why are you alienating these people?
Silicon Valley. There's Mountain View, yeah. They're not very smart out there, freaking engineers.
The 4 presidents depicted on this memorial are George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln.
And there's a partial George W. Bush on the very end they're working on now, currently. It's partial.
Yeah, who's next? Millard Fillmore.
Taxes.
Oh, George H.W.
Yeah, that's the old one.
Read my lips.
CIA leader.
Yeah,
that one. That's cool to have CIA as your president. They originally started to the left of Washington was another guy.
Oh, that's where they started Jefferson.
Yeah, and then they ended up demolishing that. They were like,
yeah, they like fucked it up or something, or they like realized it wasn't going to work somehow.
The sun, I think, hit it a different way. Sunlight.
Than they'd like predicted.
Yeah.
There was a bill introduced into Congress in 1937 to add Susan B. Anthony to the mountain.
Yeah.
But the bill did not pass. And then Congress was like, all right, nobody, there's just the 4. We're putting a stop to it.
Yeah. Enough.
Yeah. They tried the original idea was to carve them all to their waists too.
Yeah.
But they were like, all right, this is getting a little pricey, Borglum.
Yeah, Borglum.
Yeah, we're going to call it a day at shoulders.
That's enough. Also, another little fun fact is that there were these other little mountains that they were going to be on those. I think they're called like little sister mountains or something. Or
I can't remember.
They have
run across that.
Yeah, instead of this one big one, there's like other little ones. I think they were going to do each one or something.
Oh.
But they just put them all. Yeah.
It gets a little bit more majestic.
Yeah.
In case you haven't put these dots together yourself, the problem with this is that the 6 grandfathers is a sacred place to the Lakota, and it was stolen from them. Then the United States carved it up at all is a kind of a slap in the face, right?
Like even if they put like "We love Native Americans" in it, it would still be insulting and like bullshit.
Yeah, they were even like, it was fine and special exactly how it was.
Even if they carved like a Lakota symbol, they would be like, "Bro, we didn't want a symbol. We wanted mountain. This is our land. My grandfather's hunted here, and his grandfathers before him."
Foreshadow.
Is that it? Okay. I was doing Apocalypto. Remember when they found the guys in the woods?
I thought you were doing a foreshadow of how the Lakota people are also pissed about the Crazy Horse Monument.
No, but cool. It's on there. But to not only carve anything in it, they carved 4 white pale faces. 4 pale-faced presidents on the freaking sacred mountain.
Yeah, and specifically Abraham Lincoln, which, I mean, a lot of people are probably saying that's got to be like the least controversial president of all time.
First gay president. I'm just kidding.
There had to be at least one before him.
Adams.
Yeah.
He's like, I love it.
John Quincy Adams.
He's like, the heart wants what it wants. Quincy. I thought it was Garfield. He's like, before I die, I want everyone to know.
No, he just
was really gay.
He just loved lasagna.
Garfield?
That's where they got it from. Yeah.
What?
That's where they got the cat. They named him Garfield. They made him eat lasagna.
Oh, really?
That's all James Garfield ever ate.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just making that up.
What the fuck? You know, he was assassinated.
Yeah.
But his men had grubby hands when they were fishing the bullet out of him. That's how he died.
Let me get in there.
He wasn't actually killed by the assassination. It was his buddies with like unsterile hands. Like, I'll get it.
Barbecue sauce?
Yeah. This is good. We were just eating pork. Pulled pork is fantastic. KC style. And now, anyways, Garfield, yeah, he's assassinated. So there you go. Watch Jeopardy next time it comes up. You know it now.
Okay, but Abraham Lincoln, you think he's not controversial, but if he was the president during this, which he was, If you're a Native American, you might have a very different view of Abraham Lincoln than a lot of people.
You look him at as Honest Abe. They look him at as Bill the Butcher from freaking Gangs in New York, the freaking top hat.
Yeah.
Goddamn top hat.
Yeah, he's responsible. He was the president when a lot of these massacres were going on. And that's your history lesson as usual. Well, I'll be nice this time. Nobody's perfect.
To be honest, Abraham Lincoln's mother neglected him as a baby and tried to trade him for some tobacco and some chewing candy.
A pitcher of ale.
Hard candy and a pitcher of ale. I'm just kidding. That was Manson's mom. I get Manson and Lincoln confused sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything's complicated. And everything's dicey.
This show's a blur. It's all a blur to me.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that there is a memorial to Crazy Horse. Well, there's been a neighboring monument, under construction since like 1948.
Oh, that's right. It's under construction.
Yeah.
We're not done yet. Don't judge it yet. Don't ask about it yet.
It was commissioned by a man named Henry Standing Bear, who I believe was extremely rich and privately owned the land on which that this memorial was supposed to be built.
Was that a Greek name?
Oh yeah, I think so.
It's like Italian.
Wait, no, that would be Standing Bear, Standing Bearus.
Okay,
with an IS on the end, then
Got
it would
it.
be Greek. Yeah.
Standing Baranakis.
Yeah, Standing Baranakis.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the Greek guy you're thinking of. I believe he was a small forward for the Utah Jazz.
After several years in the Euro League, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he commissioned this statue of Crazy Horse that, if it is ever completed, will be the largest statue in the world. We're talking 195 meters wide. That's 641 feet. And
Thank you.
Yeah, and 172 meters high. That is 563 feet.
Damn.
Yeah, it will depict Crazy Horse on a stallion with his hand outstretched.
Saying, don't shoot. Don't shoot. I just want one of these buffalo for myself and my people.
I think the sentiment is my lands are the lands where my people are buried, and Crazy Horse is reaching out into the distance over the Black Hills.
I was way off.
Yeah. Oh, but like you so deftly foreshadowed earlier.
On purpose.
Yeah, the Lakota people not exactly thrilled about the Crazy Horse Memorial either, because, again,
he was a crazy horse. How do you think he got his name?
Why would you carve up another one of these beautiful monuments or mountains in an attempt to remedy the other monument?
Yeah,
it's
don't touch it.
It's like two wrongs don't make a right kind of deal in the eyes of the Lakota, it seems.
As an apology, I heard that they're carving another mountain in North Dakota as an apology.
Yeah, they're carving.
This is an apology for the Crazy Horse.
They're carving another mountain into a replica of the Six Grandfathers Mountain.
They're carving "We're sorry" speech bubble in Theodore Roosevelt's head.
Sad emoticon.
Yeah, with tears.
Oh, so that's it. That is the construction of Mount Rushmore and why it's a little atrocious that it's there.
They have an issue with the lighting there. It's a visitor center. Mm-hmm. Now they have like a visitor center. There's a tunnel that leads through the back called like the corridor of Congress or something.
Yeah, they originally intended to build a chamber where like it would hold like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and shit like that. But then didn't get around to it.
Congress was like, no more money.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, I'm still going to finish it. Oh, by the way, Borglum, he dies, and his son saw that it was finished. Yeah, his son did that. Mm-hmm. And they have
a good old good son.
They're having issues with lights at night, illuminating the facade of the faces, because of the nature and wildlife are affected by these lights, like the bugs. Like when we have a fish fly breakout and they all go to the lit up like McDonald's and stuff and 7-Eleven.
So I turn off all my outdoor lights.
The mankind has affected nature in such a huge way just on the fact of lights at night.
Yeah,
so
I actually had that explained to me once.
Sea turtles, they get misguided to the beach because like beach houses have lights on. Like, where do I lay my eggs? I don't recognize.
Yeah, some bugs navigate via moonlight.
Yeah, like moths and shit.
Yeah, that's why like when there's a really bright light at night, like a fire, it fucks their shit up. They don't know what the hell's going on. They just fly right into it because they're so confused.
Yeah, they love it. Crayfish, crab animals, like crabs. Crab people will have lights on their traps because they're attracted to the light, so they go in the trap. Like it's a god damn it, magical light. We on social media for a couple weeks now. We've been for a couple weeks we were requesting information, and then at one point we were like, all right, enough information. We got no time to read all these messages.
Yeah, we only have time for the very best of them.
The cream.
Today. Yeah.
And you know, another reason why we are only going to go over a few is because a lot of them were exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like everyone picked Nero, you know.
He belongs on there. TBH.
So let's run through. Want to do it?
Yeah, let's run it.
Okay. You want me to deliver the first?
Sure.
Okay. This is from a listener identified. His name is Mark. Big surprise. He picked Hitler.
Oh, yeah? That's a classic pick. Responsible for the Holocaust.
Yep. Leader of the Nazis. But then he added one that we have not discussed, Pol Pot.
Pol Pot is a good one.
He's a handful.
Leader of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. Responsible for the killing fields. That's millions.
This is, by the way, I don't know if we addressed this correctly, but this is listeners' Mount Rushmores for the Rushmore of awful humans.
Yes.
We didn't really.
Yeah, it's sometimes.
the bit.
It's sometimes used as a mechanism for you to do basically your top four.
Yeah.
In whatever the Mount Rushmore of blank. We were thinking of Mount Rushmore, most awful people in all of history.
Yeah, and of course, me and Brad went through the list, and we mentioned some that no one remembered. So we'll do your and I's we'll do ours at the end.
Yeah, totally. Pol Pot's going to get an episode. The Khmer Rouge is definitely going to get an episode of this program at some point.
That's an excellent listener contribution from a diehard listener. Listened since day one. We thank you. He also says Hernan Cortez, who was a Spanish conquistador.
Ah, Cortez.
And if you're Aztec, you don't like that name.
No, as a matter of fact, you're not Aztec because of Hernan Cortez. There's no chance that you ever were going to be Aztec because of Hernan Cortez.
They're 100% exterminated.
Not that, but he brought down the empire. So you're born after that. Maybe your parents were Aztecs, but you're not because the Aztec Empire don't exist no more.
He and his army were a guest in a big, huge Aztec city. And they were suspicious. They heard rumors that they were going to be attacked in their sleep.
Yes.
So they just slaughtered like 30,000 people in the city.
Yep.
With no grounds except, I got a funny feeling about this one, Hernan. Can I call you Hernan?
Yeah.
Yeah, you Spanish son of a bitch. The accent, in case you couldn't recognize
perfect. Dead on.
Reinhard Heydrich. Heydrich?
The Obergruppenführer of the SS.
Does Obergruppen mean number 2?
Ober means over.
Okay.
It's like there's a Gruppenführer and then there's the Obergruppenführer, who's the boss of the Gruppenführers.
This guy is like Hitler's right-hand man.
Yeah, you could say that.
He helped orchestrate Kristallnacht.
Yes, he did. He designed it, planned it.
That was where the Brown Party like ran through the streets, destroyed Jewish businesses, pushed them out.
The SA.
And then the Holocaust. He was the man behind the Holocaust. Like, this is how you gotta do it. You gotta have a train. Gotta have a factory with rail access. What an asshole.
Yeah, you could call him. I mean, Hitler is the one who called it. He's like, you go out, do this shit.
You got a niche, and your niche is mass killing.
Yeah, the guy who put pen to paper and determined exactly how they were going to accomplish the Holocaust was Reinhard Heydrich. I think that's a solid call. He's up there.
Thanks,
He's up
Mark.
there on the list of bad guys. That's for sure.
Thank you, Mark. Really good ones, though. But,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We didn't mention Reinhard in the Hitler or the Nazi Holocaust, I don't think.
We tried to not to give them credit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We didn't mention names. We mentioned Hitler in the Hitler episode like twice, right? That's pretty cool. Little fun fact for the listeners out there. Mailman Mike added this list. Bathory, Countess. The
Very
Blood Countess.
good call. She was pretty goddamn evil. From Transylvania.
For those of you that are interested in some of these topics, we will have our Facebook. We have Facebook discussion below each episode that's posted.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically where we like touch on some of the references we make on the show. So for this case, we'll do the episode numbers of the people's lists that they sent in.
Yeah.
Countess of modern day Hungary that victimized hundreds of young women and bathed in their blood. That's Countess Bathory.
Yeah, she was just trying to stay young.
Yeah, it's
Keep
magical.
that skin fresh.
Virgin blood, man.
Yeah, it's a virgin blood.
Shit.
You're not bathing in virgin blood?
You're just using soap.
Yeah,
It's not virgin blood. It's just soap. Mailman Mike also included our man Nero, notorious Roman emperor, known to have repeatedly raped and murdering his brother and his mother. We're not saying he raped his mother, but we are saying he raped his brother. For the rape record, if you got a rape count out there. I'm sorry for the use of the word rape so many times, but rape.
Yeah, remember Britannicus? That episode, yeah, Britannicus has a rough go of it.
And he also burned Rome. And
Yeah,
like
just
he
set it on
sat
fire.
and he like watched it and he's like, check it out. Look what I
Laughing.
did.
To build himself a house over the ruins of a whole neighborhood.
He's like, it was easy. Just torched all the frickin' tapestries first.
Yeah, hell
Poured oil everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Nero. Had sex with his mom. Had his mom killed. Like all kinds of shit. Like I think he like kicked his pregnant wife down the stairs somehow. It was all kinds of weird
He
Nero
probably
shit.
kicked dogs. Like if you name a bad thing, probably Nero did it. I mean, that episode is just jam packed to the gills with like crazy, awful shit.
Yeah. And then he also added another Roman emperor, Caligula. This dude was known for his brutality in the dungeons and a sexual reputation, including incest.
Oh yeah, he definitely did that. One of my favorite little tidbits about Caligula. Yeah.
The thing you
It's,
think you fantasize about the most? Go.
When he would have someone tortured in those dungeons that you alluded to, what he would do is he would eat his dinner down there, and he would also invite, quote unquote, the family of the individual who was currently being tortured in front of them, and he would force them to sit there and eat a meal with him, like have chit chat and eat dinner while their like husband, father, brother, son was being brutally tortured right in front of them.
Hot pincer.
Yeah,
Rip apart.
name it.
Which was it? Caligula or Nero that was to act like an animal and bite people's genitals that were like tied up to a post?
Oh, good catch. That was Nero.
That's your fun little thing about him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always forget that part, but for some reason that one popped out. But Caligula did something else, right? He killed his niece that he impregnated.
Oh, that was his own sister. That was Drusilla.
Son of a bitch. Well, okay, so there's two more. He added two more as a tie. Okay. Again, we couldn't get to all of these things, but we picked out the ones that we thought we had the most fun with.
Mm-hmm.
He picked out H.H. Holmes, who was responsible for the Chicago murder house mansion.
Yeah.
It was designed to kill and conceal the murders.
As well as just the sketchiest, shadiest father, husband, and businessman Chicago has ever seen. And that's saying something.
And his other tie is Albert Fish, the serial killer.
Mm-hmm. The werewolf of Wisteria.
Creepy old man.
Yes.
Come here in the woods and want to talk to you in private. Like, fuck no. Run, kid. Run.
Yeah, he had once cannibalized. He claimed that he cannibalized and murdered a children in every state.
Here's his, he added two details for the two. HH for selling the pharmacy and then opening one right across the street. That's great.
That's kind of a small scale for Mount Rushmore of evil.
But yeah, and Albert Fish for shitting on hotel beds, like hide a shit.
That's like the two most awesome petty things we've discussed on the show, I think.
Mad shitter. So that was a good one. Thank you, Mailman Michael.
Like dick moves of Dinner in Hell Rushmore.
Okay, so here's a list. This person contacted us on Twitter, Constance at Constance EP. Constance P. There's an E on the end of Constance.
Yes. What's up, Constance?
Oh my God. Thanks for your list. She added Nero, Hitler, and Caligula. But her fourth was King Leopold, the guy, Belgian king, responsible for the deaths of 10 million Congo people.
I think this is a perfect call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this guy ruled an entire country as his yard, as his personal property that he as an individual owned everything, all the land, every person.
And I think he never even went there.
Not once.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care. Don't tell me about it. Just get it done. Chop their hands off if they won't listen.
Yeah, through
Which
his
one?
brutal exploitation, 10 million people dead. He killed half of a country.
And it was his property to do anything he chose with.
Yeah.
So the people were too.
And everybody else was kind of just like, yeah, we'll just let him do
Oh,
this.
that was a frustrating
episode. That is a solid addition. That is a solid call.
Thank you, Constance. That was on Twitter. Okay, I have my 4. You want to do mine?
Yeah, I mean, those were the top 3 responses we've got. Sorry if we didn't get to yours.
Yeah.
We're sorry about that. But we had time for 3. We got the 3 best and put them in.
It was almost like a bad idea after like the 4th or 5th day when it was like, are you reading all these lists? I'm like, I'm trying, bro. It's too many. It's flooding. My computer is like, it's pouring out of the screen. I was on acid.
Oh, yeah.
I was tripping hard.
Don't say no to that.
So I've done cocaine and acid on this episode. Personal details. I've done neither. I love acid stories though. Please send us your acid stories. Private message. I love to hear them. Like what you see. I've never done it, but I'm fascinated by it. But don't do acid. I'm saying if you've done it already. Don't do it on our account.
Yeah. Good call.
Don't do acid and listen to our show.
No, that might be a bad idea.
Our band will kick you right into a bad trip right after.
I like this show. I think it's funny. I'm super proud of it. But if you're tripping, maybe it'll be a bummer.
Oh my God. Okay, so here's mine. King Astronaut. I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say it because it's not worthy of being repeated. You son of a bitch.
We've repeated it already.
Asher Nasser Paul II, Assyrian king.
Boom. You knew he was going to wind up on this motherfucker.
He's an Dinner in Hell all-star. We've read his quote numerous times. He's responsible for impaling, flaying, burning people on a stake while he ate fine meals in front of like a courtyard lit with burning bodies. It's got a smell, but he's like, I don't care. I love lamb.
And we're talking big numbers too. This guy would have enough people flayed to like line city walls with their skins.
Yeah. And then the quote that I mentioned, he was bragging about it like, I lined the walls with their skins. And the men I cut off their heads and fed it to their firstborn. Then I took their firstborn and I told them Santa was fake first. And then I pulled their one eye out. Like the dude was like it's a crazy quote.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the end of that quote is when you wonder about the little kids, the end of that quote is literally the little boys and girls were burned.
Oh, thank you, King, for that added. Yeah, it was like an open-ended
just
quote.
Like a little quip at the end. Threw on there.
Locked it in. Thank you. Now I'm going with, we just did this freaking episode, Unit 731, which is like, I call it the worst Google image search ever.
Yeah, that and Ling Chi are tough ones. I could tell you that much.
It was the experiments that the Japanese were doing to the Chinese, and not just like Chinese military, but like they were doing experiments where they would like drop like infected fleas onto whole villages that were infected with plague. And I mean, not only that, but like testing, like they'd have a woman pregnant and then like gas her and then see how the baby was affected from her dying of gas, like cutting a woman. I mean, it is just nuts. Do not listen to that episode, Unit 731. It was awful. But the guy who was like the Surgeon General that was like, this is what you got to do. We got to open up a freaking testing site. Shiro Ishii.
Yep.
This guy. Him. So I'm going to put him on the Mount Rushmore.
It's not a bad call. Do
you think we can get someone to carve it? Like a sculpture of like, if you're a sculptor, do my list, but do it like in Play-Doh, like just the molding clay. Like, don't do a mountain, just do it like.
Shit, a drawing would be funny.
No, I don't want. I want them to do it from. I'm just kidding. Yeah, drawing would be perfect. My next one is Phalaris. My next one is Phalaris.
Ah,
He's the guy that was the tyrant of the Greek city-state Atrocious. Remember the Brazen Bull episode number 2?
mm-hmm.
He, the inventor of it, presented it to him like, oh, first you put the victim in, you lock the door, you start the fire, and when he dies inside, screams go through the nostrils of the bull. He's the one that put the inventor in it. But
chucking people off a cliff.
Yeah, he took him out of it and then threw him off a cliff. Like, yeah, throw your burnt body off a cliff, you asshole. But also, dude would dine on suckling babies, and we were talking about like, if you're a pregnant lady in Atrocious, you're like, I'm not pregnant, just fucking love ice cream.
Yeah,
gotta be honest with you.
It's food, baby.
It's sugar. I got a sweet tooth. I am not pregnant. Like, holy shit, that'd be awful. You ready for my fourth?
Oh yeah.
Small forward for Lithuania. Yersinia pestis. The bacteria that was the Black Plague.
That's going to be a really tiny fourth part of your statue.
Yeah, so my statue is going to have like head, and then like trees, like nothing.
Bacteria, a giant bacteria.
Yeah, I want you to look up what the bacteria looks like. There's an image for it.
Yeah.
And I want that carved in clay.
Okay, perfect.
Resulting in the deaths of estimated 75 to 200 million people in Eurasia at the time.
That is definitely the biggest death toll.
The Black Plague. And that was carried by the fleas that were on the rats, and the rats were in the city because they killed the cats that would kill the rats because the cats belonged to witches.
Yeah.
It was like, fuck, that was a good episode too.
It's a good call.
The Black Plague. Here we go. Brad the Impaler's got a Mount Rushmore of awful humans. Give it to us.
All right, so I approached this I came at it from different angles. And I think what I'm going to eventually settle on is what's the worst thing that you can do? When I think the worst thing that you can do is genocide.
And then build a sculpture on their land of the people that committed it. Mount Rushmore.
There's something in there. Yeah. That's why this was a fucked up thing to do.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to top the list, which who I think is number one worst, and agree that we're going Leopold. King Leopold II.
Wow. Is he number one on your list?
Yep. He has taken the top spot.
Number one over Hitler?
Yeah.
Wow. He never even went to that land. Is that one of the points?
It's like he makes it even worse somehow.
Like he writes it on his... Yeah,
like he didn't have to get his hands dirty with any of it. He just had everybody else do his shitty, awful bidding. And it was really awful.
He did it all by mail.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Speaking of Hitler.
Okay.
Number 2.
Hitler?
Yeah, you know he's on there.
Okay.
6 million Jews, any number of any other Europeans. It's just staggering.
Awful paintings. His watercolor work was dog shit. Straight dog shit.
And pedestrian at best.
I mean, come on. There's a reason why you were denied fucking art school twice, dickhead.
Yeah,
give it up.
Off.
You should stick to Holocausting.
Yeah, you
good at that.
Got a shitty menial job.
Give it to us. Was this number 3?
All right, we're on to number 3.
Yeah.
This one is similar to yours, but goes just a little bit bigger in scope.
Bigger than Pestis? The bacteria?
Nah, not bigger than that one.
That's 200 mil, bro.
I'm just going up a rung from the Surgeon General of Ishii. I'm going Emperor Hirohito of Japan.
The boss of the guy that started 731?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give it to me.
I'm going to say all of the other shit that went down in World War II between Japan and China, I'm going to hold him responsible for all of that, including Unit 731. After the USSR, China had the most deaths during World War II. You might not think that.
At the hands of the Japanese.
The hands of the Japanese.
Nice. Going deep. Mount Rushmore going deep.
Yeah. So we're going Leopold, Hitler, and now we got Hirohito, Emperor of the Japanese.
Okay.
I'm putting him up there.
All right.
Numero 3.
Is it a bacteria? Is it a mountain? Is it a volcano named Vesuvius? Is it imaginary made up person? Garnipertanga? Just kidding.
Also, we've seen what it looks like when a true psychopath takes hold of the most powerful empire on Earth. Number 4, just squeaking his way onto my Mount Rushmore, Nero.
Nero just squeaks onto yours?
Yeah.
Nero is like on everyone's.
Yeah, I couldn't leave him off. You mentioned that great fire of Rome where he said it.
Yeah.
Well, this is the kind of attention to detail that allows him to get up there into the big leagues, why he's in everybody's power rankings this year. After that fire, he blamed it on and then brutally persecuted the Christian minority in the Roman Empire.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like... Remember talking about like miles of roads that were lined with crucified Christians who you then set on fire and sit around and laugh at watching?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nero's going to make number 4. We got Leopold, Hitler, Hirohito, and Nero.
That's solid 4. Game of Thrones, the slave cities had roads lined with, remember? Those crucified people.
Yeah.
In case you remember that episode.
Yeah, the Romans would do that to put down rebellious slaves as well.
Yeah. It's humiliating death.
So how wrong am I?
I think you're wrong about having Hitler in there, man.
Please, if you send me that message, I will block you. But any other criticism, I will accept.
Dinner in Hell band, my God. This,
smooth.
You can hear them, right?
Smooth.
You hear them, right?
I can hear them, yeah.
Do you hear this audience clapping?
Reservedly so. Yes.
I hear women hooting and hollering.
There they are. Feel free to let me know about how wrong I am with my Mount Rushmore picks on Twitter. We are at Dinner in Hell Pod. We're also on Facebook where you can discuss that with us. We're on. Feel free to gripe about it in an iTunes review. I'm not going to
so many. I don't know if they're allowing anymore because it's like filled up.
I think there's still room.
We'll have to delete some, I think.
Okay, yeah. We'll delete all the negative ones.
Clear space. Oh, this band.
They're incredible. So smooth. They're right in the pocket. This audience. God, love them.
This topic.
Wonderful. Thank you to all of our listeners who sent in responses from out there in internet land. We love you. Good night.